Demon Clung, Art Monologues, brought to you by iDemon Studios, where art is made for over 50 years. Demon Clung, McClung Originals, making original art since the 1960s. Yeah, long time. And Real Deal Books. All right. First off, I want to get right into it here. So item one, I was reading here in an article that was published in Imprimis. It's a product of Hillsdale College. Now, I'm not endorsing Hillsdale College or any of those people that run that place because I think they're idiots. But that's a personal opinion there. So, anyway, I was reading in the article entitled Science, Politics, and COVID, Will Truth Prevail by Scott W. Atlas. And Scott W. Atlas is the Robert Wesson Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institute of Stanford University. He's got credentials. One would think he knows what he's talking about. One would think he's a rather intelligent and educated human being, considering, medicine. He's got a BS. He's got a MD. He's, doctor kind of guy. All right, so I just want to give credit for what I'm about to tell you or read. So he says, all right, let me find my place here. All right, hold on. It says, I want to read this correctly, so wait till I get it. All right, here's an excerpt. Health disaster adds to missed critical surgeries, delayed presentations of pediatric illnesses, heart attack, and stroke patients. Here it is, too afraid to go to the hospital. All right, let me just say something. I think that if you're having a stroke or a heart attack, and you're just gonna let that happen to you and die because you're afraid to go to the hospital, there is something seriously wrong with your brain. I mean, seriously. I'm afraid to go to the hospital because, I might catch something. So I'll just stay home and die. Really? What the fuck? I mean, seriously, that's just boggles my mind. I mean, I assure you, even under the present circumstances of this pandemic going on all over the world, I'm pretty sure that if I think I'm having a heart attack, I'm getting my ass to the hospital. Because there's no place else on this planet, okay, let's just say the country, that I can think of where I'd rather be while I'm having a heart attack or during a stroke. And it's quite possible that I could have a heart attack or a stroke. Not likely at this point, but it's possible. Like I said, the odds are against it because the stats are pretty good in my favor, but you never know. I've known people who had a heart attack at the age of, say, 52, and I'm a bit older than that. And it seems to me that if you're having a heart attack, why? I'm just going to ask the question. Why would you be afraid to go to a hospital where you can get treatment and maybe, not die? What, you're afraid you're going to catch COVID? In a freaking hospital? All right. That's possible. I suppose it's possible. But I think I'd take the chance. The odds are I won't. And the odds are I might actually get treated and not die. And if I'm in a hospital with a heart attack or a stroke and they're taking care of me and treating my affliction and, perhaps saving my life and then, taking precautions to see that I don't get, infected with COVID or any other kind of germ or bacteria or whatever, I think that's where I'd want to be. Seriously. And where do you think most people catch COVID? I'm pretty sure it's not in the hospital. Maybe a nursing home, an old age facility, or a prison. Now, that one just gets me. All these people getting COVID and dying who are prisoners, they're locked down literally, can't leave, can't get away from the crowd, can't social distance very well. I mean, that's just wrong. I mean, that's just cruel and unusual and barbaric punishment. I mean, you commit a little crime, like, you had a pound of marijuana in the trunk of your car, and, we're going to put you in prison for like 5 years or something. Where you're going to be with criminals of all kinds that are like insane people, basically. We'll get into that subject some other time. But I'm serious. If you're having a heart attack or a stroke or any other kind of illness, I mean, like a busted, broken appendix or inflamed gallbladder, like I did have a few years ago. And, I had a tummy ache from hell. And I took it for a while because, I've had tummy ache like that before, and it kind of went away because for whatever reason, and now I'm okay again. And then for a while, and then, bam, hit me again, and I had tummy ache. And I mean, tummy ache is like, ow, super ow, hurtful, ow, scary, painful tummy ache. What the hell's going on? So, I said to myself, now this was before the pandemic. Things were relatively calm at the time. In fact, I think it was before that psychopath Trump got in office. But, I said to myself, it hurts, it's unbearable, it's not stopping. And I said to my wife, we're going to the hospital, dear. You're driving. And she took me to the hospital. And then they took me in, and they treated me very nicely, and they were very kind and caring and considerate, except for the part where they tried to stick a needle in my arm and shove me full of potassium because you're low on potassium. And well, that's another story. Didn't kill me, and but it burned my arm. Like, get it out, get it out, get it out. And they worked it out, so it was okay. But the thing is, they did their tests and they did their evaluations and diagnoses. You've got a gallbladder problem here. And we're going to take that out of there, and you'll be fine. Now, if that hadn't happened, I would have been in deep shit. And they did. Took care of it. didn't even make a big hole in me. They had a couple of little holes about an inch long, and put their cameras and stuff in there, and they snipped it out, put it in a plastic bag or whatever, and pulled it out through that little hole, and put a Band-Aid on me and let me rest for a day or so, and then sent me home, and I'm good to go, except for the 15 pounds of fluids they put in me intravenously with that potassium drip, which was very scary, because I think I'm going to have to go back to the hospital because I can't breathe. And that's also another story. But nonetheless, I lost the 15 pounds, and I'm good, and I can breathe, and it's all fine. So the thing is, and I'm trying to say this, be very clear on this. If you're sick and you might freaking die, get your ass to the fucking hospital. Seriously. Don't be stupid. I'm afraid. You're afraid. Weigh the situation here. On the one hand, if you don't go to the hospital, you might die. The odds are you are going to die. On the other hand, go to the hospital. Probably one of the cleanest, safest places you'll ever be. Bam. You're not going to die. Maybe. The odds. So my wife had a infected, what do they call it? You know what I mean. It was, stuff was in there and around her appendix, and went to the doctor. They said, you got to go to the doctor. They went to the doctor, and now I'm going to tell you, my wife is a stoic. She takes the pain and does what she has to do and deals with it and gets through with stuff. And it's got to be done. I'll do it. And she does. Like when she had breast cancer. And you got it. I'm going to take care of it. And she did. And they did. And it was good. And she's good to go. And that's been, I don't know, about 8-9 years ago. Somewhere there. Survivor, as it were. Well, I'm a survivor of a gallbladder attack. And she had appendix, with the infection. And they said, we're not going to operate on you. You're not going to die. We'll just give you a bunch of antibiotics and not let you eat anything for a week or two. Because we might have to operate in emergency. And so she lay in the hospital for 11 days, didn't eat. And, which was probably a good thing. And she didn't die from starvation either, by the way. So then they said, we got all the infection taken care of. You can go home now and take some more antibiotics for a little while. And when you feel like it, you can come back and have it removed, almost like an elective surgery. I hate to think what would have happened to either one of us during the pandemic if we'd had the gallbladder attack during that, or the appendix burst during that pandemic. What would we have done? Well, I can guarantee you, if I have a tummy ache like that, I'm going to the hospital, pandemic or none. And if she has a burst appendix with all that poison inside of her gut, as it were, guarantee I would have taken her to the hospital, and she would have gone willingly. I'm pretty sure. And if they weren't doing surgeries like that, I can't imagine taking someone to the hospital with a bursted appendix that's full of poison and not doing something about it. And they did. I can't imagine them not treating my wife just as they did at the time. Even if there were a bunch of COVID patients in intensive care. Intensive care. So, you catch what I'm saying? Don't be an idiot. And don't let this emotional fear of anything, get in the way of saving your life. If you're sick, you need to see a doctor, see a doctor. If you think you've got COVID, get thee to a doctor, or at least emergency room or someplace, get tested, get treatment, and I'm not going to say get the vaccine. I'm not saying yes, no, or maybe on that. That's not for me to say what you should do about that. But just say, don't freaking die because you got some kind of silly notion in your head about going to the hospital. Seriously. So, all right, are we clear on that? All right, here he says some things about wearing masks and social distancing. Now, of course, he talks about how he's been smeared and ridiculed and all kind of nasty stuff because he has a particular view, and it doesn't fit with the scenario of those people. Those people. So let me go through here and see if I can find. All right. He says, I have also been accused of arguing that many public health orders aimed at increasing social distancing could be foregone without ill effects, end quote, he said. Now, he goes on to say, to the contrary, I have repeatedly called for mitigation measures, including extra sanitation, social distancing, masks, I repeat, masks, group limits, and testing, and other increased protections to limit the spread and damage from the coronavirus. I explicitly called for augmenting protection of those at risk in dozens of on-the-record presentations, interviews, and written pieces, end quote. Now, he's calling for masks, and he calls for social distancing, and so on, but taken in context of what he actually said and what he's trying to say and what his supported or promoting concepts is, if it's appropriate, if it's a situation where it might be beneficial, where it might be necessary under the circumstances, yes, wear it. And oh, by the way, if you don't want to wear a mask because you think they're taking away your freedom, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, and that's where it is. Most people in this country, I think a lot of them, are just plain stupid. And you can't really depend on people like that to give you, good advice or to give you any kind of realistic guidance. Seriously, that just, why would you listen to fools? Because, you're a fool. It's my guess, and there's a lot of fools in this country right now. I guess they've always been here, but they're a lot more vocal now because they have a platform called the internet where they can just get on there and spout all kind of bullshit. Even me, I can come on the internet. I have a podcast. I can get on social media, and except when I get blocked, kicked off by the Facebook Nazis. But the thing is, if it's appropriate, wear the damn thing. It's not gonna kill you. Yeah, I know. There are reports that people are getting pneumonia or some damn thing from wearing a mask. I think probably that's not exactly true. It may be true, but I haven't seen any evidence that it's true. I've just seen a lot of people on the internet saying it's true. All right? I personally don't know anybody that got anything like pneumonia or carbon monoxide poisoning or dioxide poisoning or whatever the fuck it is you exhale. Nobody. Not one person. I don't know that many people, do I? Well, I can communicate with people on the internet. I have friends, family, and so on. Well, not that many friends, but we won't get into that. The point is, I don't know anybody that's had an adverse reaction to wearing a mask. I mean, I knew of a case, one case, where a guy, was jogging, and wearing a mask. And man, I don't know, I think he was like about 60 years old, and he was jogging, with a mask on, and, he passed out because, he covered his nose so that his oxygen was kind of impaired, trying to breathe when you're, I mean, come on, when you're jogging or running and you've got, I mean, that's just insane. I don't know where this guy ever got the idea that that was a good idea. Why would he do that? Does that tell me there's a level of stupid in around the world today? Yeah, let's put a face mask on so I can't breathe real good, and then just run and like really need to breathe hard because, when you're running, you need to take in lots of oxygen. You're going to breathe heavy. You're going to breathe hard. You're going to breathe faster. Get that oxygen there to your brain and your muscles and shit so you can keep running. And poof, you're going to pass out and maybe die. Lack of oxygen. It's basically you're suffocating yourself to death. What kind of lunatic would do that? Do you follow me? The guy was stupid. Why did he think it was necessary? He was running or jogging out in the open, nobody around him. At least nobody within, 100 feet. Breathing God's own air. I say God, as a frivolous term of speech because there is no God. But anyway, yeah, surprise, surprise. Didn't know that? All right, get into that. So the point is, that's just a silly thing. Why? And I see people in their cars driving down the road past my house. I live kind of out in the country, but there's pretty good traffic going by on the road in front of the house. And I see people driving by with their mask on. All by themselves in a car, their car that's been sitting, in their driveway or their garage for like, a while until they decided they had to go somewhere, like to the grocery store or to work. And they're wearing a mask in the car, alone. I'm pretty sure there are no germs in that car that they don't already know about. I mean, if you get in a car by yourself, in your car that hasn't been in any, no one else has been in that car but you, for like, 10 days, a month, or a year, or last week, or whatever, or yesterday, you think it's just lunacy. Seriously. Why would you do that? What's wrong with your brain that you think, yeah, I'm going to do that? Do I really want to be on a highway with people driving around wearing a mask, being oxygen deprived? Unless suppose you have some sort of breathing issue like COPD or what's that word? The breathing oxygen thing. Now I'm sounding like Joe Biden, right? Yeah, don't make a big deal out of it. I just don't worry about it. So anyway, emphysema. And if you're wearing a mask and you've got emphysema or COPD and you're driving in a car, that's about a zillion times worse than getting drunk and getting in a car. Because, you're just going to drive down the road and you're going to pass out at the wheel and run your car into my house or into me or into my car or whatever, or somebody else. And it's just absolutely dangerous. So, don't be a fucking idiot. And I know I say that, and you'll still be an idiot tomorrow because, people don't change because of things I say. Because, duh, who is he? He ain't nobody. Except I am not just nobody. I am who I am. So anyway, the point is, be practical, be realistic, be reasonable. Now, when the government tells me I have to wear a mask, then, that's I don't think that's right. And maybe this is just an opinion, okay? But I think it's an observation, a critical analytic observation of society today, America. We've got people that are, government saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to do this, you got to do, you got to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now, I can see where people might misunderstand that and suggest that maybe, I got to wear a mask. The government is ordering me to wear a mask. And I have a right not to wear a mask if I don't want to. That's taking away my freedom. Lunacy. In the first place, I've had to wear a mask in certain places because it's required of me by the place I'm going into. And I see signs on the doors of certain little places, little stores, mom and pop stores and stuff. 7-Eleven, not 7-Eleven, dollar stores. The government is mandating that you wear a mask in the store. It's not us. Sorry. So please comply. So they'll shut us down or something. Whatever. Okay? Now, just pass it on to the freaking government and blame them. Make them the scapegoat of this. You put the sign up. Government didn't tell you to put it up. You decided to put it up on your own. It's your store. You have the right to say what's going on in the store. Well, except unless you're a corporation, in which case you don't. But anyway, that's another story as well. The thing is, I don't like the government telling me what to do. I don't like anybody telling me what to do. I don't mind. Aha, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't mind at all if people and the government, state, federal, local, or whatever, is going to make a suggestion that it might be to your advantage to do this. I can think of a lot of things like that. Laws that were created for your own good. The state saying, we got to make a law so that people will take care of themselves. But we're going to take care of them by telling them they have to take care of themselves. That's, like, do it because we told you, for your own good. And I don't like that at all. Give you some examples. I'm going to get away from the COVID thing and the mask thing for a minute. For example, they pass a law saying I have to wear a seatbelt. Buckle up or get a ticket. Click it or ticket. I see billboards with that on it, and I want to I don't know. I just want to do things to destroy the sign. I want to throw rocks at it or something. Just because that's just wrong. That's just like, oh, Nazi bastards. The nerve of them putting up that's threats. That's a terrorist threat. Do what you're told or we're going to hurt you. Yeah. Where else have you heard that? Where have you heard that in America before? Really? I'm sure you did. I'm sure, let's think. I'm sure that George Washington never even thought of such a thing. That's just wrong. That's terrorism, if there ever was terrorism. It's dictatorship. It's wrong. You know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. There's no question there. It's just wrong. Now, if I were to see a billboard that says, the odds are, from statistics and studies, the odds are you would be safer while driving if you were to buckle up your seatbelt. Yeah, that's a good one. I think they're probably right. Because you know what? I can actually study the research and the data and come up with come up with a conclusion from that says, since people have been wearing seatbelts, the death rate in automobile accidents has gone down like 12% of them. All right, I can look that up. I can study that. I can see that, assuming it's accurate and honest and truthful, and is not produced by manufacturers of seatbelts. or government tyrants, bullies, and terrorists, so on. So the thing is, all right, the thing is, you can take that advice or not, but the good thing, the intelligent thing, the reasonable thing is, yeah, that's good. And I'm going to follow that advice. Not because it's a law, because you don't need a law. Just tell people it's a good idea and prove to them why it's a good idea. And they should do that because it makes sense. I don't want to get killed in a car wreck and I don't want to get broken. So, I'm going to wear a seatbelt. It's just good sense. And if you don't, and you have a head-on collision, and you fly through the fucking windshield after, ripping your face off on the steering wheel and die, well, we told you so. Duh. But your choice. You wanted to be a free man. You wanted to do what you wanted. You wanted to do something stupid, like not wear a seatbelt on the interstate going 80 miles an hour. Automobiles and drivers are not perfect. Cars break, wheels come off, tires blow out, brakes fail, roads are slippery, etc. That just, why would you not want to take advantage of something that might be helpful to your well-being? Another one. And I got this from my brother, who's been riding motorcycles all his life, has said to me, helmets are good, but not perfect. Because if you're wearing a helmet and you fly off your motorcycle and, land on your head, you might not get a concussion on the top of your head from the helmet, but it might freaking break your neck. Not the helmet. The impact of your head and neck and spine on the freaking pavement. But my brother wears a helmet. Does he get mad about it? Does he get taking away my freedom? Well, I understand the concept. I don't like wearing a helmet when I was riding a motorcycle either, but I did because I thought, if I have a wreck on this two-wheeled thing that can't even stand up on its own without my feet, touching the ground, I could very well hurt myself. So take precautions. Wearing a helmet in that case made sense. But I don't want the government telling me that. I want the government telling me I have to. I want the government telling me, statistically speaking, people who ride motorcycles who wear helmets are safer and get injured less often when they do have an accident. And by the way, I've never had an accident when I was riding a motorcycle. Well, true, it wasn't like a giant Harley Davidson or anything. It was just a Honda 50, but still. It was still two wheels, it still had motors, and it still required me to keep a balance so I wouldn't tip over or slide over or, run into a car or a car run into me because, cars just seem to not pay attention to motorcycles these days, even if they're like Honda 50s. But I did on occasion get that Honda 50 up to 60, 65 miles an hour on the highway. And, bam, one little accident, I could have been scooting my face down the pavement. So the odds are probably a good idea. All right. I just don't want the government telling me I have to, and I don't want the government putting me in jail or giving me a ticket or something if I don't. But on the other hand, if I'm riding down the road on my motorcycle and I fall over, and smack my head on the concrete or the asphalt and, get a big concussion or, my brains crash out of my brain, just whatever, then, then they can look at me and say, you know what? You're an idiot. We tried to tell you. We gave you good advice and you ignored it. So you're the dummy. That's acceptable. All right? So no mandates. How about wearing a mask? Well, you know what? It's a piece of material. Put it across your face when you need to, like when you're around other people, like in a grocery store or 7-Eleven or wherever you might be. Doctor's office, for example, they won't let me in the clinic without a mask. There are exceptions, by the way. There is a sign, and the sign says down the bottom, unless you have difficulty breathing or some other health issue that would be put you at risk if you wore a mask, like, deprive your brain of oxygen, because, you've already got that problem. Your oxygen level is probably like 78 or 82 or something. You're already not getting enough oxygen. So let's put a mask on and cut it down to 50%, and you're going to pass out right there in the waiting room. So, take precautions, but try something else. Be creative. You can wear a shield, which will not, those things look silly, if you ask me. I mean, they're open. It's just like a windshield with the side vents open. I mean, how is that going to protect me? But at any rate, I'm just saying. If you got COPD, you should probably wear an oxygen mask across your face, your nose and the mouth anyway. Just saying. Anyhow, I believe in voluntary and reasonable, common sense, rational, logical, intelligent thinking when it comes to these things. I don't wear a mask at home. I don't wear a mask when people come to my house, like the mailman. Like, hi, mailman. How you doing? And he hands me a box, or like the UPS guy, hands me a box. Here's your package, and hands it to me. Like, he's not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. I take it in the house. Oh, by the way, I heard, this could be true, that the COVID bacteria doesn't really get transferred to you from the mail, or from a box that you just got from the UPS guy. There's such a thing as paranoia, and there's such a thing as overdoing it. At least just don't be a fanatic. Be reasonable. Be practical. However, if you're going to tell me, I'm not going to wear a mask, well, if the government says you have to wear a mask, then I would say that's not good. But if the government says to me, it's practical, it's a good idea, keep you safer. At least safer is better than not safe at all. And it's not going to kill you unless you've got these exceptional situations, in which case you're going to have to use your brain and figure out some alternative way to protect yourself and others. Personally, I think if you've got COVID, stay away from everybody. Just stay away from people, except the medical people in the hospital where you might be in intensive care or whatever. Be reasonable, people. Use your brain. I used to think everybody was as smart as me. Yeah, I did. I thought people were like, it's just common sense. And it turns out that only about 7% of the population of America, for example, have common sense. Whatever that is. Yeah, that's what the study said, and I kind of agree, because I haven't seen a whole lot of people with common sense. Seriously, I hate to insult everybody, but 93% of you are like, a little bit, like, shy of a load there. Anyhow, oh yeah, well, I'm such a narcissistic bastard. Yeah, right. Well, okay, I'll admit to it, I am. So, what are you going to do about it? Nothing, because I have a right to be a narcissist. If I want to be a narcissist, fuck off. You don't like it, kiss my ass. So anyway, we covered that thing, we covered the seatbelt thing, we covered the mask. I mean, come on. It's not going to kill you. And if it could kill you, then don't wear it. Think of something else. Like, stay home. Or at least stay a few feet away from other people. Just saying. Common sense. Intelligent. Critical thinking. Yeah, like that. You learn critical thinking in school. Yeah, right. I don't remember that happening. I was in school for like 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know, a long time. And, I don't remember them ever saying to me, this is the day we're going to teach critical thinking. And it didn't happen. No, not even one day. Never. In fact, most of the time when I was in school, it was the opposite. Like, don't think. Here's what it is. Read the book and memorize it and repeat it back to me on the test. Because that's the truth. Even though I later found out that some of that stuff in the textbook was not true. Oh, yeah. And so I decided that not a good idea. And, dare speak up, dude. Teach. You're wrong. That's another subject too, I suppose. But nonetheless, no critical thinking taught in any school I ever went to, including colleges, universities. And then they complain. They didn't learn critical thinking. Yeah, because nobody told them to do it. Or even suggested, okay, why don't you use your brain? And that's another thing. Getting running short on time here, but teachers say, use your brain. These redneck people say this a lot. Use your brain. Critical thinking. And then they don't do critical thinking. I mean, seriously, they promote, they preach it. Be critical. Use your critical thinking capacity there. And then they turn around and say something really stupid that's not critical thinking at all. And if you do use critical thinking, then they get really mad and they call you names and shit. And I've been called some pretty bad names, which, by the way, are not true. I mean, just the guy the other day, and when I'm there, leftist, commie, pinko, like, no, I'm not. I mean, I should know. I mean, this guy is saying that because he read one little sentence I posted on the freaking social media. When I've been with myself like 73 and a half years, and I'm pretty sure I know me, and I'm not one of those. Never have been. Ever. So, no. And you're wrong. And, and it's just stupid. Idiotic. All right, I'm going to wrap it up this time for now. And post this on various places like Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, YouTube, Facebook, and Gab. Yeah, Gab. I'd love to torture those bastards. And a few other places. Because podcast is out there. And do me a favor, spread it around. Share it with your people. Okay? Share it. Let them hear me. Let them think. Let them analyze what I'm saying. Let them, at least get a clue. I'm not saying my words are any better than anybody else's. Okay? I'm just saying, let them decide. All right? They can't decide if they haven't heard it. Hear what I have to say, they might learn something. By the way, learning is better than teaching. Learning is the thing. Teaching someone is no. You can't teach someone who will not learn. That's what I'm saying. All right. So, till next time, this is D. McClung, Archer Monologues, signing off. Catch you tomorrow.